Calm morning here in San Simeon in the anchorage here. It's just a small one. I think we have a, is that a fish eagle? No, that's something looking for food. Young one, I think. And anyway, let's stop. So a lovely calm morning here in San Simeon. You can hear the surf crashing on the outside, on the other side of the San Simeon point. We're very protected here, but of course on the outside you can hear the crashing of the swell of the waves onto the beach there. I actually heard cows last night, so clearly there's someone with some cows nearby. Very distinctive. And there we've got Hearst Castle up on the hill there. A friend suggested that I dinghy over to that, but of course overnight it's closed and I'm not sure that it's that easy to get to, so that wasn't going to happen. And there's quite a big jetty here. I'd forgotten. I think the last time I was here, that was also here. Very high, obviously for loading something rather interesting. And then of course we've got the hills in the background around the bay, and a little cliff at the very end there and of the bay, and rocks. Doesn't do to go too far over that way to anchor, but where I am is fine. I've got 27 feet, which is just under 9 meters of depth, and that's been pretty consistent. The tide is actually only about 4 feet in range between low and high water, so there's no big problem with tidal range here when anchoring. And I'm pausing because I'm not in a rush to get away. I'm not in a rush to get away because I've got to get round Point Conception and then get to Fauna's Cove on Santa Cruz Island. And 5 knots, that will take me just nearly a day, 24 hours, and 6 knots it'll take me 19 hours. And I really would like to arrive in daylight at the anchorage. So that means that I don't want to leave here too early, otherwise I'll arrive in the dark. So there we have the view out to sea. That's my route out past there, and that's heading down towards Point Conception. I noticed yesterday that the main halyard has got well and truly tangled, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time trying to undo it, because if I do want to use the main, clearly I've got to have the halyard working. So at the moment I would not be able to raise the main at all. I'd be forced just to use the Genoa and or the staysail. So that's a little job to do now. Okay, well it's 11:30. I think it's time to get going and say goodbye to San Simeon anchorage. Lovely, lovely, peaceful spot. Really nice. Well, it's good to be underway again. The anchor I didn't have too much trouble getting it up, although I did have to use the stick again to get it twisted around the right way, but being ready for that to happen and having the long stick there, it worked out fine, so it didn't add much time to getting it up. So we're underway. It's a hazy sky, thin overcast, so it's not quite the blue sky that we're used to, but the weather, I've taken my hat off. I don't need that on, so that's a sign that we're a little bit warmer than we have been. And I'm going to try and keep our speed down to just below 6 knots if I can, because 19 hours is the timing, and it's now 10 to 12, so 19 hours means that I would get there a little bit too early, and I don't want to get there in the dark. So okay, we'll say bye for the moment and just keep going. I think I might go and have another coffee actually. That would be quite nice. So goodbye to San Simeon. There we go, the coastline there. Very pleasant place. Morro Bay is just a little bit further south, but I'm not going to be going in there this time. Interesting with the rock, the volcanic core that's by the entrance. Okay, bye for now, and we'll have another update later on in the day. I've boiled some eggs to have on the way. That's a really, really good quick meal. Very, very healthy. And I'm just warming up a pain au chocolat. I think that's exactly the right word, kind of like a croissant with chocolate. thanks to Gail's Bakery in Santa Cruz. Brian bought that for me with a few other goodies. Really lovely, so I'm looking forward to that. Having another coffee with that, and then I'll probably have an egg and maybe some other stuff. I've got plenty in the fridge, so that's my kind of brunch at the moment. We're just passing west of Morro Bay, and as you can see, it's really hazy today. Getting a little bit chilly. Just about see the outline of the mountains there, and this is the point that we're going to be passing around shortly. I believe this is called Estero Bay, and a very grey, overcast sky, very light white overcast. It's not threatening at all. There's no rain likely, and yeah, we're just trying to keep our speed to just under, between 5.5 and 6 knots. Presently we're making just over 5, maybe the effect of a flood tide against us slightly. And no wind to sail to. We've got a wind from dead ahead at an apparent wind of 9 knots, which means there's probably a west wind of about 4 knots. So we're still motoring. And there we go, we've got just grey, 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 not very much to look at except for the sea, not many birds either at the moment. So we'll just wait and see how things go in a little bit. Well, we're looking due east at the moment, passing by Morro Bay, I should say, and not very much to see. It's just so hazy today. There's a lot of light overcast. The sun isn't managing really to get through it, and the apparent wind is definitely, the air is feeling quite cold. We're on the corner of that promontory there, which is pretty big, is San Obispo, which is quite a big port. And then we're heading, in fact, to Point Arguello, which is just to the north of Point Conception, which we'll be going around. Likely to be going around both of those in the dark, and hoping, of course, to get to our anchorage on Santa Cruz Island in the Channel Islands in the morning in daylight. A little anchorage. Points Cove is a good anchorage in Santa Ana, and by the time we get down that way, it's likely that the Santa Ana, which is quite a strong northeast wind, will be blowing. So we'll see how that plan works out. Hopefully it'll go well, and we'll get there in good time in daylight to drop the anchor. Okay, in the meantime, pretty chilly. Not as pleasant as yesterday, and you can't see any nice scenery either. And there are not many birds around, so yeah, a rather different day today from yesterday. Well, it's 5 o'clock, and there's San Luis Obispo. Interesting name. And that's the last bit of land we're going to see for a little bit until we get past Points Arguello and Conception, which we'll do sometime around midnight. So we're not going to see a lot, apart from some lights. Pretty dull and grey, but it is 5 o'clock now, so it's to be expected. The sea's pretty calm, a little bit of swell, very slight. About a little bit, but it's nothing too violent. And we've got a little bit of a hint of sunset there, a little bit of pink in the cloud, not much. So okay, so with night coming on, I shall organise something by way of food while there's still a little bit of light. It's always nice to do that. And then get the lights on, the top light, the tricolour, red, green and stern light, and just keep an eye out and have the odd nap from time to time when it's safe to do that. At least with the AIS you get a pretty good warning, and mostly it's cold, it's kind of winter, so there's very, very little around. Right. Probably see you around midnight. So here we are passing by San Luis Obispo. There's actually, as you can see, a big terminal there of some kind, and pretty distinctive. and there's a couple of lights flashing along the coast a little bit. You can see the coast, yeah, there's obviously quite a few buildings and lights in the distance there, further away. And then coming on this way, I could see, yes, you can see better on in the camera than I could see without the camera. There is a light flashing, a red light flashing quite regularly over that way. So that's it until we get to Point Arguello and Point Conception, coming up a little bit before midnight. Here we can see my my nice new tricolour, the local light shining well, this stern light, as it were, the white light, and you can actually see the starboard light, the green, fairly well as well. But and then behind that the Windex, which is what gives us the wind direction. And here's the chart showing where we are, passing by San Luis Obispo, Lewis Wharf, that's what it's called. Those bright lights are called Lewis Wharf, and we're headed down towards Point Arguello at the moment. So then the damn oil alarm started up again. It sounded just like a loose wire or something, because I'd replaced the oil alarm sensor switch. So it just kept on and on and on, and really, really annoying and getting in the way of my video sound as well. So yeah, I thought I'd just record it so you could see exactly what was going on and the horrible noise it was making, all the way over now to Los Angeles. Quarter to 11, and that whistling has been going since 9 o'clock. It's solid now. Really annoying, because I thought I'd had that dealt with. And we're coming round to Point Arguello on our way to rounding Point Conception next. And I saw this Pacific Missile Range notice, cautions. Just hope they're not firing tonight. So we're rounding Point Arguello and heading towards Point Conception, but the only problem is that there are 3 big oil platforms on the way, and you have to keep quite clear of them, and then a lot of flashing lights showing where I think there's some pipelines, anyway, which I presume, I hope, are well below the sea surface. But anyway, so I've just adjusted course by a good 10 degrees off my course, which was already missing them, but I'm just playing safe and don't want to come to any harm. Still got this oil alarm whistling all the time, which is really so annoying. And let's just show you what the plotter's saying. So Harvest, Hidalgo, and what's the other one? Harvest, Hidalgo, and Hermosa are the 3 platforms. And as I say, we were going quite close, well, relatively close to them, and now I've changed course to give them a bit more clearance. Anyway, so life gets very interesting sometimes. You have to keep your eyes open. We're just heading in towards Santa Cruz Island. You can see where our course brings us in, and off to starboard is Santa Rosa Island with San Miguel even further off to the west and off to starboard. And the view that I'm seeing, off to port we can see the mainland in the far distance there, and just getting light, which is perfect for riding in daylight as I wanted to. Over here we've got Santa Cruz Island, and we're heading into Corney's Cove, which is just in behind towards the view to us. So there's the view again, very, very calm water. You can see there's really few or no wind. Certainly put yourself to anything. We do have a moon up there. again towards Santa Barbara and the Santa Barbara Channel that we just came across to get here. Well, the screaming oil sensor noise was just too much, so I've come back to re-record. We had to speed up a little bit coming from Point Conception to try to get here as near to dawn as possible, which we are now, and very nice coming in towards the anchorage at Forney's Cove. This is San Miguel Island, quite a small one, lots of rocks around that. There is one tiny little place you can, you have to be very careful when you can anchor, but really nice place to stay. In any bad weather. Here we have Santa Cruz Island off to the starboard. A bit of kelp there. Around. Something to avoid it. Something to keep an eye out for. So there's Santa Rosa. And this channel here, interestingly, occasionally whales, when they're on migration, they'll pass through this channel. And one time when I was coming out the other way through the Santa Barbara Channel from Oxnard or Ventura, one or the other, and I was heading out towards Point Conception in the opposite direction, I heard on the radio to be careful, caution. There's a blue whale in the area coming through this channel. I was so excited and I hoped I'd see it, but I didn't. So I still haven't seen a blue whale. That was pretty exciting. Yeah, but they use this channel regularly when they're on migration. And then here we come into, and here we see the west end of Santa Cruz Island. And I'll just look over the other side. So here we have the west end of Santa Cruz Island, where we're putting into anchor just in here. Somewhere just around the side here. And over there, of course, is the mainland. So here we have mainland, Santa Barbara, and then looking around, and all of that, along the Santa Barbara Channel in fact, and then back in that direction where we come from is of course Point Conception in the distance there. So normally this is actually a pretty windy place, but, and they had 6 o'clock this morning, which is just gone. We're supposed to be having a Santa Ana hooting routine here. Later, we're getting ready now to be looking at our depth and trying to find a nice place to anchor. Keep busy in here, although often if there is a Santa Ana blowing, the fishing fleet coming here to take shelter. So we're getting pretty close now, and a really good view of West Point on the west end of Santa Cruz Island, at the northern end of where we're coming in to anchor. A very nice approach to the west end of Santa Cruz Island and Forney's Cove, where we're going to anchor, and very pleasant, sunlight increasing as we got well beyond dawn. Here we have the sun coming through the cloud there. It's just after 7 now, and so 7 o'clock in the morning, or just on 7, about 7, and the Fraser Point is at the end of that little low line on the tree. Well, there again, the oil alarm is making too much noise, but basically we're beginning to see Fraser Point, which is pretty low lying, coming more clearly into view, and we're going to tuck around behind it basically in the anchorage as and when we get to shallow enough water. It's very low lying, but it's protecting in swells. It would protect the anchorage, Forney Cove, from the northerly direction. So it's a good place. The fishermen come here in the Santa Ana. This is where they take protection. They've got a northeast wind. So they might be coming in over the weekend. I'm not seeing anyone here at the moment. It's pretty deserted. It's nice to have the sun shining, which it is doing at the moment as we're coming around towards the anchorage now. So we're coming in. I've got the anchor ready drop, and we're going to come around. We're coming around the area of concern, seabed, and yeah, the sun's coming out quite nicely at the moment, and not much wind. So there's our anchorage shortly. So we've got the sun shining nicely on, showing Wilson's Fraser Point, and birds are flying around. There's a little motorboat over there, and I'm waiting to get into shallower water because it's quite deep. I was seeing 100 feet still, so we obviously need a bit less than that if we're going to put the anchor down. Very pleasant, very lovely, sunny, calm morning. No Santa Ana at the moment. Well, it would be blowing a hoolie out in the channel there, and I'm getting very little wind, plenty of bird life. So I dropped the anchor at 8 o'clock, almost on the dot, and it's 15:15 now. We've finished trying to set it. Very little wind, so that made it a little bit difficult, but feels good. And this little fishing boat is over there and came by, and he's off fishing. Very peaceful. He'll probably leave later. I don't suppose he'll stay overnight. So this is Forney Cove on Santa Cruz Island in the Channel Islands in Santa Barbara Channel. I should add that it took me quite a time. I thought we were never going to find it shallow enough. It went finally down from 100 feet down to 60 and then 55 feet. So we've got the anchor in about 55 feet, which is, to my calculations, a little bit under 20 meters. So we put out 60 meters of chain. Clearly a few rocks over that way. There's very little swell. We're rocking very gently, but there's almost nothing. So to be crashing like that, there's clearly some rocks right there. Well, it's about 10:30 in the morning. By 9:15, I was settling down in my bunk, thinking I was going to get some sleep, having had a little bit of breakfast and some coffee. And the wind is now roughly east, and it's got up to around anywhere from 10 to 15, frequently 12 to 15, and then suddenly it's been gusting to 20, 25. So I had put out enough chain, I thought, but seeing what the wind was getting up to, I've just put out another 20 meters. So I just couldn't rest until I'd put out a bit more. Better to have chain out on the seabed than in the locker. So hopefully now I'm just going to go and send off on the radio for a fresh weather forecast, and then I should get back to my bunk and try and get that sleep that I need. How much did I get last night? I think I got a total of maybe 3 hours, something like that. Difficult to say. So I definitely need it, because I started off, of course, at about 11 o'clock yesterday, and arrived here, dropped the anchor at 8 in the morning here. So it's been quite a long day. So it's definitely time for me to have some rest and get some of that sleep. Just thought I'd show what I do. The leaving the tracker on while we're at anchor shows me exactly what's happening, and you can see where the boat is at the moment on the left there. I've dropped another, put another mark. That was when I let out the extra chain, and we seem to have settled quite happily in that position now. On the right, more to the right, you can see the original place that I dropped the chain, and then we were drifting off, wandering around a little bit over the other side. The wind was just, well, pretty well non-existent at that point. So we've done a little bit of ambling around, but now we seem to be settling quite happily. So that's good. Even when the wind gets up, we seem to be staying in pretty well the same spot. So it's nice to have the tracker to show us what's happening. It really makes me able to relax and not worry so much. And here we've got the view to the east, looking at the island in the late afternoon sun. It's about 4:15, so the sun's getting quite low and getting slightly pinky looking. You've got the orangey look to the light now, which is very nice. And looking around to Fraser Point, which is over there beyond to our stern. Okay, and no wind, bit of sunshine, but no wind. So there we go. Very pleasant, very peaceful. So I've just got out my food now. I'm going to cook a bolognese and have that before I leave, and I can even have some as I go tomorrow as well. So that's a very pleasant evening. We'll get the sunset shortly.